So when we first start programming or we learn how to code, the first data structure that we normally learn is array. And after array, we go to list or linked list and other data structures. So what is a data structure? Data structure is a logical representation of data and operation that can be performed on data. So normally all our information or all our data are on the hard drive of our PC, and when we are doing the calculations, we bring them from the hard drive to the RAM, and in the RAM, the data that we have brought are managed using different data structures. So there are different types of data structures like linear data structure and non-linear data structure. So arrays are the most popular data structure. Arrays are simple to understand and elements of an array are easily accessible. An array holds elements that have the same data type. Array elements are stored in subsequent memory locations. That means one after another. Two-dimensional array elements are stored row by row in subsequent memory locations. Array names represent the address of the starting element. Array size should be mentioned in the declaration. Array size must be a constant expression and not a variable. So here we want to discuss why we have to learn linked list, although we might have already known or learned arrays. So suppose you are writing a piece of code and you have to take some integer type values as insert. So you have to insert a few integer type values. So what can you do? You can declare an array of a size and then how many elements do I need and then insert them. So here you can see that an array of 100 capacity has been declared, and then we take input n, so how many data we need, and then we take n data inside the array. But suppose the value of n is 5 or the value of n is 20, then a lot of memory locations that we have taken will be wasted. So you might not want to waste memory. So what can you do? You can use variable length arrays. Suppose you can write this code. So at first you take how many elements are you using, then you use variable length array using the malloc function. But is this the best you can do? Suppose that at first you need suppose at first you need only 10 integer type variables, so the value of n would be 10. So everything is all right. You have taken n, value is 10, then you declared the array, variable length array, so you have not wasted any memories. But suppose here, after writing codes, and after some times you understand that in your array we have to insert another two values. Then what will you do? Will you again take 12 inside n and declare another array? So what can you do? Suppose you have at first you have taken the value, taken 10 inside n, then did some work using this array, then you need two more elements inside the array, so you again assign 12, that is 10 plus 2, to n, and then copy the previous 10 values and insert new 2 values. So this is a lot of work, and this is, I mean, this is not recommended. So for this type of programs, what can you use is linked list. For this type of programming, you can use linked list where you can assign values and delete values very easily dynamically. Again, if suppose you are taking 10 inside n because you knew that you will need at most 10 values for the array. But suppose for some reason you delete one value from the array, then you don't need 10 locations, you need only 9. What will you do? Will you assign 9 to n and then create another array and copy the remaining 9 values from the first array to the second one? So this is a lot of work. Instead of all this, you can just use linked list. So you might be wondering, what is linked list? Linked list is a linear collection of homogeneous data elements called nodes, where linear order is maintained by means of links or pointers. Each node has two parts. The first part contains the data. The second part contains the address of the next node. Data part of the link can be an integer, character, string, object of any kind. So linked list can be of different types or different, yes, I mean different kinds. And here we can see the most simple form of linked list and the most simple form of a node. So a node only have here two things, that is the data and the link to the next node. So how does this work? Let us just see some simple form. Suppose you want to insert, at first there is nothing, so there is null. Then you want to just insert one value, then one node is created and it will contain a value and it will point to null. And if now you want to insert another node, what will happen is that a node will be created here, and this node, the first node, will now point to the second node, and the second node will point to null, and this link will be gone. Then if there comes a third node, it will be created and it will have another value. It will point to null and this link will be there. So, and if you delete a node, suppose this node here, you want to delete this one, and if this gets deleted, the links would be reconstructed as this. So there, but of course linked list has its own limitations, because in an array you can randomly access any position because they are subsequent. So you have the index number of the positions, and suppose you want to visit third position, so you can easily access it. But in a linked list you will have to traverse it one by one, and in linked list you will have to contain the data and also pointer or pointers to previous or next nodes. So it has its own baggages, but it has its own advantages also. So linked lists have dynamic memory allocations, and there are different types such as single linked list, circular single linked list, double linked list, and circular double linked list. So we are discussing in context of the programming language C or C++. So suppose single linked list, how will it works at first? Suppose single linked list. So in single linked list, at first there is nothing, so it points to null. And first, then suppose we insert one node, so this, there is only one node and it will just point to null. And if we insert another node, then it will point to the next node, and this new node will point to null. And if we insert another node, then another, this last node will also point to null. And each of the previous nodes just points to the next node. So you can see the node that points to null is the last node. And so this is the single linked list in short explanation. And now what is doubly linked list? So like single linked list, it will have different nodes, and each node will have a pointer to its next node, and the last node will point to null. But here we can see doubly, so it does not only have a link to the next node but also to previous nodes. So each node will have a link to its previous node, and the first node will point to null because there is nothing in front of, there's nothing before the first node, so its link to previous node will be null. Now what about circular singly and circular doubly? So let us at first think about circular single linked list, what it does. So like normal single linked list, it will have different nodes, and each node in single linked list, normally what does it do? It points to the next link, and the last node points to null. But in circular single linked list, the last node will not point to null, but rather this connection will be coming back to first node. So first node points to second node points to third node, and the last node points to the first node. This is how circular single linked list works. And what will be about circular doubly linked list? In doubly linked list, each node has link to next node and to previous node. So if we are doing circular doubly linked list, each node will have link to previous node, and the first node will be linking to last node by previous link to the previous node. This is how circular double linked list works. So there are many things to learn about linked list and its different types, how we can insert it from the front, from the behind, and in a random position we'll traverse to that position and then insert it. And if we can delete it from the front, delete it from the back, and insert it in a position and search it and insert in a sorted manner. And all these have, are discussed in different videos using C or C++ implementations, and the links to those videos will be provided in the description. So linked list and array have their own advantages and disadvantages, so we have to learn both. But as people normally learn arrays first, linked list can be can seem a bit difficult at first, but through practices they can be learned and they can be utilized for different purposes. So the codes for different implementations of linked list will be given in the description. Thank you.